That was intense as shit.
That was awesome.
Intense. And I love the fact that strong
That
language
was
is going to be used. It
intense
is a
as shit.
warning.
Oh, that's so great because I will be throwing it out there.
Strong language
Yeah.
is going to be used. It is a and I can
Oh, that's
I
so
now
great, 'cause I will
confirm that
be
we're
throwing it
actually
out
on
there.
YouTube. I can see it, so that's good. So yeah, I can go ahead and turn that off because I don't need to hear the thing. Okay, hi everyone, welcome to Beneath the Cowl. This is a Cosplay Alliance broadcast, and I've taken it over, and I brought some people who agreed to be my friends for the day. We're going to talk about shop. We're going to talk about foam. We're going to talk about probably failures, horror stories. I would say we're probably going to make fun of each other a lot as well. And definitely, take all of your questions and stuff. So I can see the chat. So just go ahead. And if you have a question for anybody, just go ahead and throw it in there. I'm going to start off with some introductions. I want to make sure that we give everybody time to explain who they are. And more people will be joining us. And as they join, we'll get more people in here. So we're going to start off with Tris Rex. Tris, how do you want to explain kind of what your genre is or where you would kind of anchor yourself in the prop making and armor making foam work community?
Yeah, so you could call me a monster
you.
maker. Can you hear me now?
I can hear.
You can't hear me, Avera?
I can hear
Brittany,
you.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. She got that word.
Brittany, I can't hear you either. Can you?
What? I can hear the both of you guys.
Okay.
I get everybody.
Yeah. It must just be you.
Perfect.
All good.
This is great.
But that's a really good question. She was like, so what is it that you do? Like, how would you describe your genre? That's something I've been questioning myself for the past couple of years until I got it right.
Monster maker, you said, right?
Monster maker, yeah.
I think that's a good explanation of yourself based on all the work I've seen of yours.
Yeah, I'm kind of like a throwback, just doing it with new cosplay techniques, using cheaper materials, some classic material like liquid latex and all that other stuff, but that same cosplay identity and DNA of just like creating things that you're a fan of is what I do. Then we also got the TV and film side of things, as well as like displays, different commissions, all that other cool stuff too. But a lot of the stuff that you'll see on my page is just one of my passion projects, and we got Avera back in the house.
And you got one of those. Do you have it behind you? Do you have alien stuff behind you, or is it just a green screen?
Oh, this is just some of the set. This is just some of the set that I'm in for the day, because I was gonna take it in the office. I was gonna go in the office, and I'm like, you know what? I just got to be outside today. It's a beautiful day here, and I just want to, just be out.
Yeah.
I would usually be in the studio. We can't hear you now.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Well, that's because you're muted.
Gosh, I have some mustard.
I got it. Yeah, no. So have you talked about C2E2 yet and what you brought to the table there? No, I'm sorry.
We kind of
We're going to be fine from here on out. I swear to God, this is going to be great.
Okay.
Yeah, but me and Brittany was talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
So then we'll awkwardly and not so awkwardly introduce Brittany, who is.
It's dinner time, okay? It's okay. I'll take a bite after we talk.
So it's currently the TwitchCon champion. With an amazing build there. I don't even know if I know all of your. Let me see if I can get them all. You ready? Okay. So you're like 2-time U.S. representative to the Crown champion, or 3-time.
Actually, I've only repped 1 time for the U.S. in at the Crowns.
But you've won.
I've made it close, regional. But I've won the regional a couple of times, and also like Chicago is like the hardest qualifier I think of all of them. So I always go to the Chicago one. So that's made it very tough for me to like. Yeah.
And then you won third or second. You got second in one year.
I got third in the world like 2018, and then I've gotten best of show at Chicago like 3 times, and I don't know. And then I've gotten like Fan Expo stuff and like TwitchCon, and then I've done I've represented ICL once.
Okay. So yeah, so well versed, armor, and amazing. I don't think people really give you credit for your armor work a lot. I think it's
thank
always
you.
the painting. The people.
I know how to sew too. Okay.
Yeah, how's that going? Isn't there like a Sakizo coming out or something like that?
At some point.
At some point. All right.
The next one I'm going to do right now is kind of a dream project. I've been wanting to make my own like original character for a long time, and I think we all kind of have that within us to want to do, but I'm like finally to that point where I'm like, I'm making my own original character. So I'm going to make myself as a Borderlands character, but kind of with the twist. So my character is a paint wizard. So like, because people sometimes call me like a wizard with paints or like a witch, like a paint witch. So I'm like making that as a Borderlands character. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited for it.
I mean, yeah, isn't that? I mean, and I guess for Trish too is when you get kind of like pigeonholed into something, right? Or you're just known for something, right? Is it hard to kind of go out with that, or you just run with it? I mean, if you're known for making larger than life builds that are like from a certain, from aliens and monsters and making, kind of the creatures, or you're known for just making armor that's like the most amazingly painted. Do you ever feel pressure to kind of go outside of those boundaries? No.
I never feel pressure.
No. Yeah.
Nah, I never feel pressure.
To stay in those boundaries, you mean? Or
to stay in them, or to go out.
I don't listen. I don't listen to stuff like that. That's all bullshit.
I agree, but
I never. When it comes to like staying within a certain boundaries, nah, I don't listen to that because it's just it hampers what I want to do. Like I sometimes like to do like little face huggers and chest bursters and things of that nature, or something maybe so in between. I don't think that's I just don't like being put in a box, period, as a person. So I'm damn sure not gonna let anybody tell me or dictate, what the art's gonna look like.
Right.
It could be the size of a pen or it could be the size of your car, but it's gonna be exactly what I want it to be.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Brittany.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I think it's you get different perspectives on this one, especially like when it comes to online stuff. If we didn't have the online social media part of what we do, I think that we would just make this costume, then make whatever other costume, then make whatever other costume. But I do think that people do get pigeonholed when they get followers that follow you for one kind of thing. You know what I mean? So then like you post something completely different and it'll get like, we'll say normally you get like 1,000 likes. This one you'll get 100. And you're like, but I want to do some of this for a while. And people are like, yeah, we're not here for that.
Right.
So it can be discouraging. I'm going to do what I want, but it does make me think, oh, I should do more of this thing because that's what people want to see. So I understand like that people pleasing kind of thing.
Yeah, when I posted,
and I think I overthought the question too. That makes more sense the way Brittany said it.
Yeah.
But
still, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah. Same.
But when you're known for something, I think it's one of those things where it's like, oh, if you make if Tris, because like I'm making a ball gown.
Yeah.
People be like, what? Like,
yeah. That's kind of the same with me. Like for the
I want to. Yeah, I want to see some people do things that they're not used to. But I guess for me, and I know you guys are a lot more seasoned than I am. For me, the problem is I would be starting at zero to the point where I have like no skills in the sewing area. So do I spend time getting better at armor, which I'm kind of proficient at, or do I kind of pivot and try to do something completely different? To me, it's like a time management thing. Like it's almost like I better just keep going at what I'm what I like and what I'm kind of known for and get better at it than try to be good at everything. Cause I don't think anyone can. Well,
it depends on if you want to or not. If you don't want to get better at sewing, then I guess I wouldn't really pursue it. But if you're like, I really do actually want to get better at sewing to use this for this future thing or whatever, like I would move towards it if you wanted it. But if you don't fret about it.
But don't you need it like for the competing stuff and everything like that?
It definitely helps.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I mean, I gotta be honest. There seems to be sort of a for especially the crown, maybe not TwitchCon as much or BlizzCon as much, but for the crown, if you have a ball gown with armor pieces and a prop and some FX, it seems to be kind of the what gets. I mean, it just happened. Maybe it's just a happenstance that the last like.
No, it's seeing somebody who's well rounded. It doesn't mean that if you have done all of those things, you will do it. But if you've done all of those things masterfully with like a perfectly chosen costume, like you've got a better shot than the next guy a lot of the time.
Yeah. So again, one of those things where we're just kind of waiting for Samir. We also might have some Beverly in there. So I don't really, I was trying to like extend our introductions here, but we probably should maybe start getting into more of shop-oriented talk than just.
Did you say shot-oriented talk?
Shot-oriented talk. Do you have a shot?
Right?
Yeah,
Chris brought alcohol, right? You brought alcohol, right?
Oh no, I got good.
Oh.
Trust me, I'm good.
It'll just be us then.
I'm good.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Shot-oriented. Yes, here we go. Cheers. That's water.
Nah.
All right. So, I think where we're going to start is kind of like, and then we'll have to probably digress as people like join us and do like intros for them. So, why, it's kind of along the lines of what I was just talking about is we are all, I would say, more on the fabrication side of things, more on the armor side of things, more on the build kind of things than necessarily always just doing like, fabric. What made you choose foam? Like what made you choose, was it just, why did you start down that path of more of the armor and the larger than life builds versus, FX versus, well, I guess there is FX, but versus like sewing or whatever. What was it that gravitated you towards those things? And we can start with Brittany.
Oh, okay. So I didn't start with foam.
Okay.
I started with, so I started my whole cosplay journey with like steampunk. So a lot of like found stuff was like the beginning of things and like, kind of making my own character and like that kind of stuff. So I started with sewing with steampunk, and like I had like the smallest amount of sewing background before I started that. And then I made something decent. I made like a corset and I was like, all right, I can move on from here. And then I just started, actually I started with wood because I didn't know what foam was for the longest time. Wood freaking sucks to work to try to make props out of.
Or props out of wood.
Trying to make props out of it, yeah. So I was just like, oh, I want to make a cool steampunk gun. So I'd like cut it out with a jigsaw and then like add metal parts to it. Like, it's fine, but then I don't remember what it was, but I think it was a Kamui video I saw where she was working with foam, and I was like, what is this? So then I got some and it kind of just took off from there. The first prop I made was a Borderlands prop, and it wasn't painted very well, I will say. That was like the first time ever really painting something. And it looked really bad when I eventually gave it away. But it did have wood parts in it as well. So it had wood and PVC and then foam. And then I think I had like wood primer or wood filler or so. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, a Kamui video was the first thing I watched with that. And then I was like, okay, this is so much easier than wood. It's got a lot of the same things that wood can do, but like 20 times better. So it kind of I just took off from there with it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Were you a part of the steampunk community? Like, were you like into like your character and your
I wasn't as much into like the acting portion. I just kind of wanted to make my own character. I knew a lot of people who did that kind of stuff, but we used to go to this thing called in New Jersey called Steampunk World's Fair, and it was just like such a cool little community, and we just it's a days of old kind of thing for sure. But
it's kind of how I started too. I ended up having a steampunk wedding, and I'm not married to that guy anymore. But it's kind of how I started like dressing up and stuff like that. And then steampunk community is really, really toxic. Really.
We're really good at not being friends with a bunch of toxic people, so we got lucky there. But
it's like they're like, oh well, that's not steampunk, and I was like,
I can see that
diesel punk, and I was like, bro, like, character's name, and I'm like, I just want to
leave me alone.
hogs on a corset, okay, bro? Like,
Yeah.
leave me alone. But that's funny. So just what drew you to foam over making a ball gown? Because I do think you should make. I think you would look fantastic in it.
If I make a ball gown, you'll never forget it.
I know.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
Actually, I got a list of female characters from the DC Comics universe that kind of fit like this Met Gala monster, Gotham thug, underworld kind of vibe. So, like I said in the opening, even if I'm not wearing it or if it's an animatronic or a puppet, like nah. Being put in the box is just something I'm not gonna do. You know, if it's something I gotta sew, guess what? Sit your ass down for X amount of days or hours and learn how to sew.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It was the
Yep.
same thing with phone. You know, when I first got into it, I was looking at a lot of stuff from like I was heavily into like Injustice 2 and like the Arkham Knight, and I was like, those are some really cool type of armored suits, and I wanted to take a shot at it. And every time I would like Google it or YouTube it, EVA foam would pop up. So naturally in my mind, I just started to gather more, instructional videos and stuff from like Odin and Evil Ted, Kamui. And it was cool because I started to see that with different techniques, you could get the exact texture you want, you can get the exact shape you want, and it was like this gateway of just being able to create anything you could possibly think of with foam because it's just so versatile.
Yep.
And then I started to learn about the thicknesses and densities, and now I'm starting to work with more open cell foams like upholstery foam and things of that nature. So, and then just adding to that, throwing in PVC, lots of wood to the mix, like Brittany. When it comes to different structures and stuff, going old school, wood and nails. It can't beat it, but it's definitely not the easiest stuff. But like, kind of to piggyback off what Brittany said, it is very transferable as far as like seams, connections, things of that nature. But yeah, that's what drew me to foam, and that's one of the things I love about it so much is that I'm always experimenting, adding things to it, and just figuring things out. But a ball gown is not off the table.
No, I
And
didn't say
a dress is not off the table.
I mean,
Don't
for me, I
don't
think
test me.
I'm not. For me, I'm
Don't
just
you challenge me.
the characters
Huh?
that I was drawn to required foam work. The first thing we
Yeah.
ever really built was my son wanted to be Junkrat from Overwatch. So that's kind of just where, where it kind of started. So it was like I like video games, so like most of the characters I wanted to be required foam. And at some point I was like, I really like this. Like, this is really, I'm like, this actually looks like a gun. Like, honey, doesn't this look like a gun? And he's like, he made like a McCree hat out of foam. I'm like, you can't make a hat out of foam. And he did. And I was like, wow. I was like,
well, crap.
You can make anything,
Yep, pretty much.
And it was, I think for people who are starting out, it's so much fun when you're starting out because it's like, I'm going to make Mercy. And you're like, how are you going to do that? And you're like, I have no idea, or whatever. And you do it. And it's like, people are like, hey, it's Mercy. And you're like, you recognize what I am, And it's like, I do like remember that thrill of being like, this didn't turn out that bad, did it? No, it's actually pretty good. You're like, yeah, all right. Like, we're doing this,
I think with foam, there's like, it's a really easy point of entry, and like also there's nowhere to go but up, in my opinion.
Right.
Like you like, as far as skill goes, like you start kind of like shaky, and it just kind of like, it just gradually, you just get so much better at it as you just use it. It's great.
when you look back at your first, works or things like that, or even if you're like judging novices and stuff like that, is there something that kind of sticks out that you just wish you could like scream to people like about, like, whether it's whatever it is, like something that you wish you could go back and say, hey, I really wish I had not heat sealed this with a hair dryer. Or something like that.
For me, like for myself, or
either or, just something that you see a lot, or for yourself looking back at your own work.
For myself, it's definitely, I didn't do it for very long, which is good. Using spray paint on foam was such a bad choice. Like I kept a piece of foam that I painted with spray paint just so I can show people just why you don't do it. I just have like a bugaboo about it. I know there's got to be a right way of doing it. I don't know what that way is. And the way I did it that time was definitely not right.
Did it crack in spider web?
Oh, it's awful. It's the worst. Like I'm like this, look, this is why you don't do it.
Right.
Do this instead.
And I know people who do it. Like I know people who swear by it. That is,
yeah, I know, but I'm like, every time I touch someone's prop that's like that, I do this thing. And it's just like, yes, every time. Or sometimes they use resin or Epsilon Pro or whatever. And I'm like, and it's just like crack. I'm like, I just can't. I don't know how it's done. I know there are people that can do it, but every time someone says they can do it and I touch it, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me. So that's one of my bugaboos, because I have a weird thing about paint.
Obviously.
Yeah, right.
Tris, is there anything you wish you could?
Yeah. I wish I could tell the earlier Tristan. I mean, and that's just one of the things I still see today. It's just like making sure your seams are not visible. Hiding seams or just having really good seam work. For one, the young Tristan, I was just like, okay, I just want to make it, But then as I started to progress, I really got into the fabrication mindset of really making it armor, not foam armor, but armor,
Right.
So now it's just one of those things where when I'm asked, that's one of the easiest ways you could like take yourself out of a costume for the audience if you're looking at it. When you see those close-ups, or like, I'm sure Brittany and everybody here has competed at the Crown or something. Those lights are bright. And when you make that movement, or when that light catches it, it could take you out of it a little bit to the untrained eye. But that's just me being nitpicky, because I like to try to work foam into like just stretch it. What else could be done with it until it doesn't until you just don't know what it is. I just don't want to know I'm looking at foam, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say for my one, I see a lot and it is the not like heat sealing or not even sealing it. I see it all the time, and it's actually worse than hot glue. I feel like the hot glue, there are people who can work with hot glue, but in a seam situation, but and again, like these are like, novices. So like, it's not something that I'm going to like nitpick, but at the same time, it's like, did you seal this? It's like, yeah, I heat sealed it, or no. And it's like, you can tell, like you need to put on this, and I didn't, I thought my hair dryer was enough to heat seal, and then I just threw a bunch of acrylic paint and I thought it was good to go, and that's not the case. So then I found, Classy Dip, which I've actually moved away from almost.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the humidity in Florida is so bad.
Okay. Yeah, I guess.
And so I do Hex Flex now. All right, I gotta bring Samir in here. Hold on one second.
Yay.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm so sorry for the delay.
Oh, it's okay. What time is it you're at? I think we can let it slide.
It's 1:30, yeah.
In the morning.
In the morning. We were just wrapping up at the event, so it took me some time. But hello everyone.
Samir is the international stylist of
Oh,
cosplay. I think
oh.
he is a staple at the Crown.
Yep, I would
How
say
many
so.
times have you been in the Indian champion at this point? Like
I've been
7
there twice. I've been there twice.
Soon to
At
be
one.
a third. Soon to be
Yeah.
a third.
All right.
And
And you were stuck in America during COVID.
yes. I think I've had like a very interesting story, like journey with crowns. The first time I was there, Ginoza defeated me in the competition, and then second time she was judging me, and then I have been to crowns third time, but sadly that was in MCM, and I was the judge there.
Yeah, that's true.
so
Awesome.
so yeah, I've had like a wonderful relationship with crown championships.
I think we're Crown alumni at this point,
Yes.
one way or another.
You won it. I'm a crown and I'm like without winning it.
You're still a huge part of it. Come on.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I went, there was no international people there, and that was really sad. That made me sad. It was still the best like weekend of my cosplay life, even though my flights were canceled and I was postpartum going through like a whole lot of stuff. But it was still like the most amazing thing. I do wish I had gotten a chance to meet all the international people though.
You
That
can
was-
still do it. You're still kicking it. You're still doing some crazy cosplays. I'm sure it would be super nice to see you compete.
Yeah, so I'm actually not. I'm like with Brittany. I don't want to do like Florida SuperCon. I've already won Florida SuperCon. Like to go, I'm not going to go back to Florida and try to win there and then try to like qualify to come to Crown. I'm
You
just
don't want to do it
gonna-
again?
I was just going to go to C2E2 directly and do the.
Okay.
try to-
Okay.
Yes.
Can I say something about this year's C2E2 real quick?
Yes,
Okay. It was kind of the best ever.
it was honestly like every year I see the competition. I'm more and more happy that I'm in the judging side now.
Yeah.
Because it's becoming more and more impossible to win in the sense that like the amount of effort and the amount of like the craziness, the passion you need to have to win a competition, it's through the roof. I mean, like the kind of stuff like what the kind of stuff the down in Nerds Gone Wild did with her cosplay. I think down in message in the chat that she's not able to join.
Oh.
Oh, that's
Okay.
okay. We love
That's fine.
you so much. I
Okay.
really the
Yeah, so like the stuff that Nurse Gone Wild did, like she was basically did everything with like roots and fruits and whatnot. We were joking that at one point people are gonna like sow their own seed, then it will grow and then they will make their own loom, like silk looms, and then do the whole setting, and that's where the process will start now. It's crazy.
Well, I had
Yeah,
a joke
that
that I
was-
used to say where I was like, well, she raised this, and I think I said this to Alta 4 during, I don't know, it was like one of the online competitions. I think it was BlizzCon online. I said like, I think I think you're going to place really well unless somebody comes in and they, shorn their sheep that they raised for 10 years and then weave their loom, weaved it on a
Yeah.
loom and then dyed it with an ancient Eskimo dyeing technique, and then.
Yeah.
Then there's literally a person that I know who had like a Suki who literally used an ancient Eskimo snow dyeing technique on
Yeah.
weaved on a loom.
I know. Like there was one cosplayer who basically did loom her own own cloth.
Yeah,
And I
that
know-
does happen.
I was the one person I know was made her own fiber optic fabric, and you're just like, I don't even know where to go with this. Like, guys, like seriously, like.
So are you done? Are you guys both done like competing at Crown?
No, I'm not done.
Okay,
I'm
good.
definitely-
Good. I want you here.
Yes. The thing is, like for me, even though it's like really, I'm the kind of person I really want to win, but I never feel bad when I lose because if I lose, like every time, I think I try and go a bit more ambitious than I'm used to,
Yeah.
and every time I go and become a bit more ambitious with and then I think this competition pushes me to get really really well. And every time I come there, I've never had anything other than love from all the other contestants. And I mean like Ginoza has been Brittany has been like one of my favorite people ever since I met her. Like she was probably the first person who literally blew my mind off, because when I saw her warlock costume at C2E2, I realized like how like what depths I am in, you know, that and like the kind of like stuff I need to do to be able to be like relevant or whatever. And it was crazy. So and like even then I think I knew my costume was not as good, but like everyone like showed me so much love and respect, and it really motivated me to get better. So I think every time I go to a competition, whether I win or not is secondary. Like I've always found that I've come out like a better person, a better artist. So I'll never stop competing. I don't think so.
Good.
Unless people start hating me for doing it, then
I mean, so far nobody hates that here.
I'm just getting started. Like I'm gonna be like 80. Like you're gonna have to drag me off until there's like like no. And again, it's one of those things where I don't compete against, like, there's no competition. I'm not standing next to Nerds Gone Mild or Alt F4 sizing myself up, right?
I'm
like
glad I wasn't competing against them.
Glad I chose that year not to.
I'm glad that this was not the year I was competing.
That's weird how that happened. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I'm in there against myself, right? Like I'm on a different journey. I started at a different time. I have different skill sets. I have different family obligations. We're all on our own paths, right? So I'm not there to like take anybody else. Like I'm just there to do the best I can. And if I step out there, and I think the last time that I was at the Crown, or the only time I was at the Crown, it was the best I could do at the time. Can I do better now? Probably. Do I see all the flaws? Absolutely. Am I going to do better? Absolutely. But that was I was proud of what I stepped on stage with, and that's all you can do. You know, it's not.
Exactly.
You know, it's not. You know, whatever. So I mean, yeah, no, I'm not done. Tristan, are you done? Are you done competing?
I mean, never say never. It just depends. It has to make sense for me.
Yeah. What I was gonna say about the other thing about C2E2 is that the competition was amazing. Like it was truly awesome, and it was so great to get the internationals back. I'm not gonna lie. There was just some kind of special feeling that came with getting the internationals back after not having them for what feels like forever because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It just like getting all those international people back was just so amazing. We stayed out late, like multiple nights. And then like, I think Sunday night, we stayed out till like 3 a.m., just the international people and a couple of us locals. And we just talked until like 3 a.m. It was so great. I'm so happy that we have it back, honestly.
I still miss that. Like, I don't think so I've ever, like now I've earlier on didn't have any exposure. Like I only been to one event, like C2E2 too many times. But now I've like been to some conventions. Like right now I've been to like 3 conventions in Europe and also MCM. And then I don't think so I've ever found like a more amazing bunch of people that I got to spend like it like so much time with, like, and like sitting in the lobby, like those are my best memories. So I absolutely feel like that C2E2 is my, like everyone at C2E2 is my family now, and everyone makes me feel that too. So that's the best thing, and I really missed it. I was getting so much FOMO looking at all your stories and everything. And now I know India is not part of it anymore, so I don't know how if I'll ever be able to come as a contestant again.
I really hope you can figure out some way. I don't know how, but
I was actually backstage at the MegaCon Masters of Cosplay qualifier watching C2E2.
That's so funny.
Not anything against that competition. I mean, it was fantastic. Pat always does a really amazing job of running the show.
But
it's smooth and it's fun and whatever. But I mean, you know, it's definitely I had to watch. I had to watch.
You had to, right?
I had to. You know, there was just too many. You know, it's almost like a Super Bowl feeling, right? Like there's so many builds that I've been watching, like, you know, for a long time, and then there were builds that I had never in my radar because I didn't know the cosplayers, like the Sakizo one. Oh my god! Like I was like, oh, who is this person? I need to follow them now, you know.
Oh my gosh, the girl who is the Sakizo, so hilarious.
Oh,
she
yeah?
is hilarious. She's like a natural actress. She's so fucking funny.
That's
We got
awesome.
to talk to her like later on, and she was just so great. I love her.
Yeah.
At where?
The
At C2.
second overall.
Yeah, she won third overall. I think she won third
Second.
overall.
Who
The
the-
second was
Where was she from?
Okay, yeah, you're right.
she
You're
was
right. You're
from
right. No, you were
Spain.
judging, so
Okay.
Yeah, her name was Aliceuan on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
oh my god, that was like I was like, oh my
Oh.
god. When I saw that, I was like,
Oh my god, yeah. It's so great. And not in a ball gown didn't win. Just saying.
yes, this is true. I don't even know what we would call Nerds About Miles cosplay. I think that is a plant-based
Next level.
plant-based
That's a plant-based cosplay. It's a
yeah.
vegan cosplay.
But yeah, I think, you know, Tristan, are you more interested? Did you enjoy judging, or are you more like
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Would you prefer judging to competing?
Probably so.
I figured
because
that.
I feel like what judging is, I feel like I'm able to give more. You know, as far as like with the contestants, because I'm able to make a connection with them. You know, like there was a couple people that competed when I was a judge in 2021 that came up to me this year at the booth, and it's just like she was like, "Thank you for giving me the motivation and pushing me to do it at this age, and giving me that fire to go against the grain." And it's just like I think that means more to me than all of the other stuff. Competing was cool. I think competing changed me in a really good way because
good.
Competing changed me because I was able to be on stage with a lot of other people that I knew for some time. That was my very first competition, was the crown.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what to expect. I was expecting everybody to be
tiptoe in. Tiptoe right in.
Oh,
yep.
That's just the way my life is, just thrown to the fire. But I was expecting a lot of standoffish. I was expecting, hate. I was expecting a lot of arrogant people, but everybody was there just to have fun. And
I love this community.
I think it's more important for me to be a judge or somebody to help with the show than to be competing. And because I want to make sure that like everybody is getting the fair treatment that they're getting. I don't want anybody to be looked over, because I felt a lot of time when I was competing, people just looked right past me like, "What the hell is this? A big monster? I don't know what this shit is. Get it out my face." I don't want anybody to get looked over.
I feel does have the track record of having it a little bit harder.
Yeah, it does. And they're not even doing larger than life anymore.
Larger than life has a uphill battle a lot of times, I feel like.
Yeah, and at that time, that was Swamp Thing. So that was just like baby first step into like creature work. So nowadays, it's just like I'm able to see each year. I'm able to see more monsters. I'm able to see more creatures or more big battle-like armors with all kinds of weird details that people are bringing up to me. So I'm making my mark in a different way. Competing. I'm gonna let Brittany and Shamir do all of that. I'm just here to bring people nightmares.
Nice.
I love that.
Literally.
That's your new tagline.
And literally. And if you were at C2E2 Brittany, you already know you were my booth neighbor.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm here to bring people nightmares.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah. That's what Trish Rex is here to do. I'm gonna be supportive of everybody else, but I play in the dark.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if the big stage is ready for that.
Well,
the level of darkness.
They put you on the side. They would put you on the side and make you come out of the curtain real quick, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that stinks about that.
Yeah.
Well, you
and Well,
interact.
I wouldn't worry about that. But there's other contestants that I judge that I did give some pointers to, and kind of like, you know what, you should probably have them come out on the side because they got
Yeah.
stilts, all kinds of stuff. And I know if it was hard for me just in a big swamp
Yeah,
thing suit,
I
Mhm.
don't think we
I
needed
know for
trying to
them
get up
that
the stairs. Yeah, or down the
yeah,
ramp
yeah,
up, and then it was stairs down that year too. The year that
it
you
was
judged.
easy. It's always easier going up the ramp, but sometimes going down the ramp depending on the flexion, so it's just like okay. But
Yeah.
I just say that to say this. I'm here to bring monsters everywhere to your convention floor. Kids running and screaming, horror, nightmares everywhere,
Yeah.
all that other stuff. I'm good.
I did
Mm.
my first like kind of monsterish build where I had feet, toenails that were made my feet like a size like 12, 20. And I got up the stairs fine. And there's video of, Pat's helping me find the railing. And then I get up the stairs and I'm like thinking, all right. And then I go to get down the stairs and I'm like, and I just grabbed the middle of the railing and literally like vaulted myself off the stage and like landed like perfectly and like just kept walking and I'm like, whatever. And nothing, I thought, oh man, this looks so good. And then I saw the video. I'm like, wow, everything just looks so bad walking across that stage. That's fantastic. But it is when you talk about like larger, big builds, and Brittany, Samir, you guys have all done very big builds. I mean, Brittany, your category actually for TwitchCon was larger than life's because you went out.
Was.
Was that?
Everything she does is larger than life. The costume doesn't have to be like, it's just larger than life in
It
general.
was just barely what it was considered larger than life. Okay, we'll just say that.
Is there a story there of why you chose to do that?
Well, I had to drive my costume all the way across the entire United States, so I felt that I was larger than life. That's why.
Oh yes.
All right.
No, and like you said, like your work is larger than life. The size might not be, but your work is everyone like this.
Thank you.
All of the guys over here, like your work is larger than life.
Also, I put larger than life in my application, and then I put right underneath it, if I like, this is what my costume is. If it does not fit within these parameters, please move me to armor. And they just accepted me, and I was just like, okay, that's fine. Oh, by the way, the difference is that you get $1,000 more and a stipend to travel.
Nice.
Now it makes sense.
Now that's a cosplay hack.
I'm like, either there was like an armor contestant that she didn't want to go against, or I'm like, because that looks like
it's definitely that it cost every bit of the amount of money that they were giving for a stipend, every cent I needed. So, yeah.
There you go. That makes sense. Yeah. When you're building like, I guess this is a question for everybody. When you're thinking about building something that is really big, right? So big, is always going to be the fan favorite. So that's a good part, right? Like if the bigger it is, the more the audience is going to cheer. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you would say if somebody who's starting out is like, I want to make something huge? What is something that you would say that you've learned after making big things to keep in mind or to think about?
Honestly, I would never recommend anyone to make if someone is starting out and they want to cosplay, I would never recommend a larger than life cosplay because it does hamper your enjoyment of the convention, because like I do feel it sometimes that I'm not able to talk to people properly because I have to be in a corner. Like in my cosplay, I cannot run around. I'm never able to, like, if I do a really huge cosplay, I'm never able to see the convention properly. So like I understand wanting to do it because obviously it's crazy. Everyone, like you said, like everyone loves like a huge cosplay, and it's really good from the perspective of competition. So if you really want to win, or like if like it also depends on the judges and also depends on the competition. Like not every competition will give you, and not every audience will give you like the best like audience favorite award or whatever because of the with big cosplay. I think it differs from place to place, but I think if you're starting out, I would recommend something which is more practical so that you can enjoy the convention. Because at the end of the day, I love competing, but meeting people and socializing with other cosplayers is for me is the major aspect of a convention. Like that's what I am most excited about. Even if I'm going for a competition, my major thing is like I want to meet everyone, I want to talk to
Right.
everyone, I want to learn as much as I can. And if you restrict yourself to a corner, you just don't be able to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my take. But like obviously I have made like my first cosplay I brought to C2E2 was like gigantic wings and I'm not following my own advice. But
That means
like
you learned.
yeah, I did learn. And the thing is like C2E2 is unique in the way because after the convention has ended, the convention doesn't end. It still goes on, right? So but like in other conventions I would definitely say make something which is more practical.
Oh yeah. For the first, I would say for at least the first few costumes that you do, I would do practical and then get a feel for conventions first and then move on to
Yeah.
bigger. But Tris
Right.
can comment more on like the big stuff because I know
Yeah.
a little less about that.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the big stuff, actually, just to piggyback off YouTube, practicality is key. You got to be able to live and do certain things in these big suits. And it's just one of the things that you just got to like plan for. So taking the baby steps to that is the only way to actually know. Like I didn't know that, having big foam legs could fall down a little bit,
Yeah.
into my first con doing it. And then I started making suspenders for all of them and stuff.
Right.
So it's just kind of just like you just gotta build up to it. Certain things like the Empress alien, the Queen alien, is just puppetized. Like there's a cockpit in it, but you don't. It's just like limits to what you could like have on the show floor, and things that that you can walk down aisles in. So there is. I'm speaking from both perspectives when it comes to taking those baby steps, though, because even when it comes to making the big puppets, and you got to take baby steps with that. I had to. I had to burn through a lot of foam to get to that Empress,
Those are
and
Yeah.
had
great
to
points because
burn
too.
a lot of foam.
Go ahead.
What was that?
I was gonna say there's the
I'm
physical
sorry.
thing too, you guys. Well, I'm sorry. I think there's like a lag. I thought you were done. I apologize.
Yeah,
But
it's
I
like
think
a second lag.
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say like there's a physical thing too, right? Like I
Yeah,
think I've built myself up to like a pain
Yeah.
tolerance threshold of like I remember being in I look back now my Maleficent and it was just a chest corset and I was like dying in it. Like, oh my
Mhm.
God. Now I'm like, my most recent one, I can't even see out of it practically. Right? So it's like your body like also has it is there's like
Oh
a
yeah.
physical aspect to carrying the stuff
Mhm.
around. Like especially like back in the days when everything was Warbler, like that stuff was heavy, like
Yeah.
there is like I mean, yeah. And there's your back, wings. Everything I make has some sort of wing apparatus in it.
Yeah.
So there's like, just being able to walk and stand up for that long,
Yeah. It's true.
it's like running a marathon sometimes.
Doing so many big cosplays with like heavy armor and whatnot, I think my body has uh accepted that when I am going to a convention, I won't be having too much food, I won't be drinking too much water, and like my shoulders will be always paining after the convention. And I think
Yeah.
like over the years, I have trained like this, and I don't find it frustrating because when other people see it, like they see, oh, you must be sweating so much, like it must be like this or that, but you have so grown accustomed to it, like it's like second nature to you. Like suffering is like in nature to you.
hmm
If,
That's
especially if you're
true.
an
Yep.
armor cosplayer, like
Mhm.
you just love suffering.
I'm not hot. I don't know. Like everybody always asks. That's one of the like the questions that you get. Like, what are the
Yeah.
questions you get when you're standing there in armor? Standing
Is
probably
that
in
hot?
armor.
Is that hot
Is
wearing
Is that
that?
hot? Is it hot in
Yeah.
there?
I'm
How
not.
much does it weigh? How much does it weigh?
How much does it weigh, yo?
I, I I'm just coming from an event and I must have answered that question like 15 times today.
Is it comfortable?
Yeah?
Yes. It's like I was standing in the Dragon Mercy there at
Yeah.
MegaCon. Little old lady walks up to me. Is that comfortable? I was like,
No.
That's not the point. That's not the point.
it actually gave
Right.
me a bald spot because I didn't realize that. So I,
Oh wow.
3D printed helmet, and
no!
I didn't put any padding in it, so
Oh no!
tore a hole like right here in my
Oh my
face.
god.
And so like I was like washing off my makeup after the contest, and you were there, Brittany. That was the first time we met. I was so awkward. And my husband goes, "Oh my god!" I had a huge bald spot in my head, and he goes, "Did you not put any padding in that?" And I was like, "I guess."
No.
Oh my god.
All right, it's Jaws time. I gave you my bald spot. Give me your worst fail stories, horror stories from wearing a costume.
And like I think all of my cosplays have been like a horror story because I'm not even kidding. Like I'm not really proud of it. I should probably not say it online. So I'll not say the whole truth. But 80% of the times I have never worn my costume before I'm in the convention.
Yeah,
Like
same.
yeah,
Same.
80% of the time, like most of the costumes I wear, I just like cross my fingers, believe in my luck or whatever, like on the cosplay gods, and like just hope that everything comes together and all the proportions are right and whatnot, and the harness doesn't like fall off. It has happened like the costume which I came in 2017 like was the so a funny story is basically like when I competed in India, like I had been working with foam, and not a lot of people were working with foam in India at that point. And most of the time, people would make like something flashy, like, and I was competing every year. I was trying to do detailed work, and then like there was someone who would come with like giant wings but not finished like properly, or like some electronic fancy lights, and so I lost like 2 or 3 times in such competitions in India. Before, like I was not able to come to C2E2 or whatever because of that. Like although I was the second guy who came to C2E2. The first guy was not able to cosplay. So the year that I won finally and came to C2E2, that year decided that I will make like the most amount of work anyone could imagine. So I made like 2 feet stilts. I made my wings like 12 feet wide, and then I did wings, I did lights, I did weapons, I did a wig, whatever. Like I did like shit ton of things to my best capability. When I came to C2E2, I saw like that my best capabilities were nothing, but like in my mind, I was like, no, I'm gonna do it like the best. And I literally couldn't finish that costume. And before in India, when I was competing, before going on the stage, I still had no leg harness. Like I had leg pieces, but there was no harness on them. I went on stage. I literally just masked, I used masking tape to put my armor together, and I painted it brown. Like 2 minutes before going on stage, I basically taped my leg armor, and then I painted it brown, and I like acted like it's like leather strap or something. Yeah, so like I'm not proud of it, and all the other contestants were really pissed at it. But like that's like I just made everything so much extra that I just couldn't finish the cosplay. But it was so much that like the judges got overwhelmed. Like that's how you win in India. Like you make something that like judges don't understand at all, and then you win. Yeah.
I panels, and I'm like, the one thing I can say is make sure you test your costume fully before. And then I'm saying this stuff, knowing full well we're sitting there at MegaCon, and my husband's like, "So you've tried this all on?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, well, like each piece at one point or another.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, like we have tried each and every piece multiple times, but never everything together.
Yeah, never everything together.
And he just looks at me. He's like, "You would think," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"You would think."
Yeah, you would think. You
After
would think.
We're all theoretical scientists here. In theory, it should work, so it will work.
Do as I say, not as I do, for sure.
I have a small one.
All right.
I don't typically have a ton of snafus, but I also do the thing where I don't try on my costume for the first time until I'm at the convention. At TwitchCon, I did not test the smoke machines. I bought them a month before, and I had them in my hands. And I was like, they'll work.
Yeah.
I did not physically put them inside of my pauldrons
Yeah.
until the day before. And I
Yeah.
put them in and I'm like praying. I'm just like, this is gonna work. This is gonna work. So I like push the button and it's like, and like one of them is smoking, the other one isn't. And I'm like, this other one doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And fortunately, the people in my room were cool and they were like helping me try and figure out why it was, because I just bought smoke machines. I was like, I'm not putting smoke machines together. I don't care. And one of them, like one of the turbines or inside or the things had been like installed backwards. So we had to like pry it open and like turn it around. And then we were like, and then it starts going. I'm like, oh God. So I had not seen smoke come out of my costume until like right before.
Yeah.
I also styled my wig like 2 hours before the
Yeah.
game.
Fantastic.
That was
You know,
beautiful.
like cosplay people at convention are the best people. You know, like I had like such a stupid thing happen with me. Like I have a lot of con nightmare stories. Like in this convention, basically, I wanted to do Gendo Ikari. I was invited for Anime Fest, so I got like my whole Gendo Ikari cosplay. I had like the jacket, I had the wig, but the wig was not styled, and then I accidentally shaved wrong. So like there were some patches in my beard that were not proper, and then I forgot my inner shirt. And I was supposed to cosplay the next day, and in the morning, I didn't even check what all stuff I have and what I don't have. I opened my suitcase and I say, oh, I don't have the inner shirt. Oh, I don't have the white gloves. Oh, I have to like style my wig. And then in like at six in the morning, I'm messaging in the group, hey, does anyone have a red jumper? And then some cosplayer in Prague was like, I'm coming at convention at 10 p.m. and like 10 a.m. and I'll have this shirt that I can get from you. So my shirt is coming from like 2 hours away, like in car. And then there was a Ukrainian cosplayer over there called Natsumi. I was like, hey, you're really good at wig styling. Can you help style my wig? So I went to her room and she styled my wig. And then I didn't have I like wrongly shaved my beard, so I went to like someone and they did like makeup on my beard.
Yeah.
And then and like even the sweater that they got me basically was like a chain sweater, so Gendo doesn't have a chain, so I basically wore the sweater opposite side. So
Yeah.
like the chain was on the back, so I
Oh,
literally made my whole costume come together in 2 hours, like because like everyone in the convention was like trying to find things for me, and then
Aw,
basically bought it together. Like people in conventions are like so amazing,
they're
honestly.
so solid. What about you,
you just
Chris?
you
Got
just
any
have
good
to be
stories?
shameless enough to ask.
Kristen, I know you got something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the biggest. I think I kind of touched on the biggest horror story, and that was that Wizard World. I think it was 2019. When my leg armor just like wouldn't stay on. This is before I knew to make suspenders and like strap it up to a vest and such.
Mhm.
Everything else was good, but like I could only take 2 or 3 steps in a pose before it just like dropped down, and I was like, never again will I ever. Because I just thought they would. I tried it at home, right? But at home is at home. You know, you gotta like test it out. You gotta jog a little bit, and for whatever reason, I just couldn't do it. So after that, I'd try to like finish at a certain level, then just try different pieces on, just to see how they mesh together. And that was pre Swamp Thing, but in the future, like it's just like just test as much as possible. And the second biggest horror story was at the Crown of 2020 when I was Swamp Thing. What's up, little baby?
Oh,
Oh, hello.
she
Sorry.
got an ouchie.
Why are you sorry? She's so adorable.
Okay.
So good now.
But as the 2020
2020.
Crown is I forgot one of my fans that was gonna go inside my Swamp Thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll never forget that again. I almost didn't make it. It was a struggle because that thing was really hot, really hot. So that was like my biggest nightmare,
Yeah.
my two biggest nightmares, and I'm like, okay, cool.
I'd be like asking people for ice packs. I'd be like, please, someone ice.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah,
And
I
people don't call
actually
they'll
for
come.
this
Go ahead.
Mm. For this film that's shooting, and later this quarter, I actually got a one of those cool suits, and
Yeah.
I will say, don't let the price scare you too much because they work. Well, the
Mhm.
one that I have works.
Yeah.
And it's like instant. Like it don't need any time to like cool up. Like soon as you put the water in the reservoir pack, you're like good to go. And it's
Yeah.
just like little things like that. Like at that point, I wasn't spending that type of money on that, you know. But nowadays, it's just like life is different. I'm older now. I don't got patience like that. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't got time to be too high. Give me that dang cooling suit, and especially when you're
Yeah.
trying to put on a performance, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's all.
Cool. Hmm.
So, okay. So if you had to go back, huh? If you had to go back and you had to, like, what do you think was the impetus to compete? Because we've been talking a lot about competition, even though this is shop talk.
Yeah. Right.
But whatever. What was the thing that made you go, I want to do that? Like, I want to be on that stage. What was it? Because it is not for everybody, right? And it's not necessarily a straight line from building and making into competing. So what do you think it was that made you want to compete? And Tristan, we can start with you since we kind of been going like this.
Yeah, I would say the two things. Well, the one thing is just the experience, right? Because I remember just being in the crowd at the crown. You know, I wanted to get that experience just to like have everybody be able to see your work. And two, once I got into it, you know, after a couple of years, it was just the exposure. I wanted to be able to, you know, put myself against some of the best of the best. Well, in this case, since the crown was my first one, it was the best in the world. So, yeah, and really be able to show what I'm capable of. But now it's just, you know, life is different. Life is different now. So, you know, I'm not sure if I would do things the same way as we speak. But yeah, that was the start.
Uh, I would say I actually started with competing. Like I think that's what got me interested into cosplay because I had been like sculpting before I cosplayed. I think because we literally got we got our first convention in front of me. Like I don't know I don't know if I have mentioned to you. Ginoza knows, Brittany knows, but like I was literally the first cosplayer in India because like when the first convention happened, I was like a volunteer in that convention. I applied to be a volunteer, and I was like, it would be fun if I cosplay also because I had been following some cosplayers outside, but I never had a reason to cosplay. Like in India because like we didn't have any conventions. I didn't know anyone else, like you know, and social media was not a big thing then. So like even if I cosplayed, what would I do with it, right? So that's why I never did it. I like making things. Like even now, I think I love crafting much more than like wearing the costume. Most of the time, I just like I worked months and months on a costume and then I just wear it at one convention and then next, and I start on the next project, you know, instantly. So like I think I was like started making props and whatnot before I started cosplaying properly. And then when the first convention happened, I cosplayed, but I knew that they were going to have a cosplay competition, and the prize was if you won a prize to like Disneyland in Japan. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like if I win that, I'll be able to go to Disneyland. So that was
Mhm.
my initial basically motivation to start cosplay.
Did you
And
go to Japan? Did you go to Disney?
oh no, no. I basically like I told you, like the first 3 years I was making cosplays, but there was always something flashier that would win. So yeah, I did like two cosplays. I did one I did was Rorschach, and of course Rorschach is not gonna win any cosplay competitions. And then second I did was Freddy Krueger. But like in the same competition there was a guy who basically because no one knew what cosplay was, so there was a guy who did like Jedi cosplay, and like his whole costume was store bought, like because at that time no one knew what to do. Like I made my I made my whole Freddy Krueger cosplay. Like my makeup was really shitty, but I just bought the hat and the pant. But like I made the whole sweater. I did like the claw and I did like some facial whatever. He basically store bought his costume and he had like a really expensive lightsaber that he also store bought. So his whole costume was store bought, but he won and he went to Disneyland. Like he could afford it. He has like a lightsaber. It's super expensive. So yeah, like in India, like I had to figure out how to win because initially like people had no clue and like only our organizers were judging the cosplay competition, so they didn't know, like if it's a store bought costume or it's a self made costume kind of a thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, but yeah, so like my motivation actually like I started cosplaying, like the very first cosplay I did was with the motivation of competition. That's why like I've always had like a huge love for cosplay and I love crafting and anything that pushes me to craft better and like try new things. I always love it.
For me, when I started, it was almost like probably 10 years ago, and competitions are not what they are today. Obviously, I think we can all kind of agree to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the biggest, flashiest, most store-boughtest costume would win, basically. Yeah. Chewbacca's and Mario's and like nobody's making their costumes basically when I started. So when I made a thing, like I wanted to make a thing and win a competition. I started with like steampunk stuff. So I was like, when I was in high school, I was like fairly competitive, at least in the fact that like I would draw something and like no one else could draw anything. And I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I'm pretty much the best because I've got no one to compete against. So when I started getting to get a cosplay, I was like, oh, well, I've got some people to compete against, even though I didn't know what I was doing at that point. But I still wanted to try. So I'd sew something and, enter it and like not win anything because the most store-boughtest costume would win, or the biggest, the biggest thing. Not necessarily well made. It didn't really matter. But yeah, I think my first thing I ever won was best like audience favorite or something like that at a steampunk thing, and it was like the crappiest handmade piece of cardboard thing you've ever seen. And I don't know if I still have it, but it still motivated me to like want to find competitions that would respect craftsmanship. So since then there has been more craftsmanship competitions. I did not start with C2E2 by any means, because I don't even know if that was around at the time, but I started doing locals and then kind of working up from there, trying to make more and more things, making more of the things that I was making. And eventually the competitions caught up with the craftsmanship that I wanted in competitions, which is great because that's what I want in a competition personally. So yeah, that motivated me to keep doing more. And then like every time I did a competition, everybody was super non-toxic, which was great. The competing community is extremely non-toxic, and I really love that. I love that people are not very like in your face ego kind of thing. So that just made me want to keep doing it more and more and talk to more people, learn more stuff from the people in the competitions, and it just kind of got me to where I am today.
It's so true. The non-toxic thing about the maker space and the competing space. I've never had a bad experience. People are like, "Oh, well, you guys are all elitists," and I'm like, "Have you talked to us?
Yeah, have you ever talked to us?
Anyone? Like we are actually not. Like it's actually super positive. Like I've never been in a judging situation where I felt it was toxic or backstage. Literally, I don't think I've ever been backstage where a twerk off hasn't happened.
I think I've been discussing this a lot with a lot of people because like everyone has been because I went to some smaller conventions like Anime Fest which I went to in Czech recently. It was like it's not a huge convention. Like MCM was a huge convention. C2E2 is of course like a huge convention, but Anime Fest is not that big a convention, and the community is also smaller. And then when you sit with people, you listen all the tea, and then all the drama and everything. And like that's what I tell them. I think like when you are it depends on what level you are competing at. Like when you are competing like within the community, the thing is like most of the people, they know each other and they already have like some prejudices against each other or whatever, and also I think in local communities like in India that happens a lot. Like people think that they deserve to win without wanting to work for it. They're like it happens with me a lot. Like some people don't like me for that, because because initially, like, we in India, we don't have any cosplay or guesting opportunities. Like I had no way to make money with cosplay for 7 years of my cosplaying. Like I started in 2011 till 2017. No one in India ever got hired for cosplay at
Yeah.
all. Yeah, so basically, I had no way to fund my hobby, because I didn't like every time. Of course, like I said, every time I wanted to make a better cosplay, and making a better cosplay means spending more money, right? And like doing more trial and then giving it more time. So I had to make it worth my while, and how I made it worth my while was basically competing,
Yeah.
because like I competed, and the money that I got, basically I used to fund my hobby, at getting better material and whatnot. And so people started hating on me for that, like, you compete so much, you're competing so much, you're winning so much, why are you still competing? But because I had no other option. Hey,
Yay!
look who's here from down under.
A wizard
Yay!
is never late, nor is he early.
That's bullshit. You're late. Don't worry, we saved all the motivational stuff. Don't worry, we haven't touched on it yet. No, go ahead, Samir. We were talking about competitions, because
Yeah, yeah. So basically, like people like did hate me for it for a while, because like I was competing a lot, I was winning a lot. I have won some 30. I've counted once. I've won over 35, 40 competitions in India, because like I had no, because I had no other way to make money from it. So I kept competing constantly. Like whatever competition was coming my way, I would take part in it, and most of the time I'll win. So like what happens is, like, I think when you're competing on a smaller scale, and when everyone knows each other, like I said, there's a lot of already interpersonal relationships that are going on. So people have like a lot of prejudices. So, and like I said, like people were like, why do you keep on competing even when you have won that much? They don't think that they should get better than me. Like if I'm competing every time and I'm winning every time, the way to defeat me is not stopping me from competing. The way to defeat me is get better than me, right?
Yeah.
So I think,
Can we go to India and like take these people? Like, who was messing with Samir? Like,
I love the way that you're talking about it. Like, the way to defeat me. This is not the way. It's not,
Be better.
it's not a
Yeah.
challenge.
I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I'm just saying, like, like when I want to defeat someone, I don't want them to not take part. Like if I wanted to compete sometime with like, like that was my goal in 2021, but in 2020 she became the judge. So, so yeah, my goal was like, oh my god, like this person is so amazing, I want to compete against her, and maybe try and beat her somehow, and that's why I started working on my stuff. Like I was like, no, I need to get better at painting, I need to get better at finishing. I never wanted her to stop competing, and but like people in India were like, you should stop competing because you have won so much. Like what kind of logic is that? So I think that happens a lot in the at the very grassroots level of competing. But when you compete like at places like C2E2 or like really big competition like TwitchCon or whatever, everyone has like mutual respect. You know that everyone who's over there has like reached a certain point and they're giving their best, and no one is expecting to win like as a charity. Like everyone who's over there wants to beat the other person. It's not like they want you to not take part. It's like, no, I want you to bring your best and I'm going to bring my best, and then we see who will win, and whoever wins deserves it. So there's no hatred. So I think the toxicity does happen, but it happens at like very like lower level of competitions. But I think the higher you go, the more matured people are, the more time they have spent competing, and like that, like anyone who has competed, there's no one in the whole world who has won every competition. Everyone has lost at some point, and your first loss makes you really humble, and then you realize that it's not, you need to work harder. It's not about just because you're like good at something, you'll just automatically win. So I think like that's why I love competing. Like I try, like I always cannot, because like we don't have that much opportunities here in India. But I really love. I try whatever chance I can get to take part in international competitions, because I think everyone gives so much heart into them, and it really motivates me. Even if I lose, I don't care. Like it's just like such a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
I love your point about how it's a small community, because even in the higher levels, it's a small community, and people
It
were
is.
like, "Oh, well, you know the judges," and I was like, "Yes."
I
And they're
worry about that sometimes. I worry if people see that.
Tris, Plexi, and Beverly Down, and I'm like, Downton, Downing, whatever.
Downing.
I'm just kidding. There's a shirt. But I'm like, exactly. You know how horrible that is? They have been watching everything I've been doing on this build. There is no surprise. They know where all the bodies are buried. I'm like, I would much rather go up, have a judge that I don't know, you know?
Oh yeah, same.
That's the weird thing as well. It's like if you're friends with someone or you know them and you're then having to judge them, or like you know that you're a close friend with them and they're having to kind of judge your work, it's like it suddenly shifts a whole new dynamic.
Well, the other thing is people think that you're going to give preferential treatment, whereas I probably judge them harsher a lot of the
It's going to
time.
be harder, right?
Yes.
I think the pressure is on the judge also, that they don't want to look biased, so that like they would look at extra things when they're judging their friends.
Oh, and for me, like at C2E2, like I know a lot of people in this community at this point.
Pretty much everyone.
Yeah, pretty much everyone. But if I saw someone that I actually had a personal relationship with, I would do my scoring like I normally would. But when the other judges came in to talk to each other, because I don't know that person as well, I let them kind of make the decision more than me giving really any input. I would just let them do the input, and then they say, hey, we want to put this person here. And I'd be like, yep, that's fine. And I just kind of agree versus saying,
right.
Like I would say like important things like this person should get docked points for this reason, but I wouldn't really be like, yeah, that person should be first place. Like I'm not about to do that.
It's coming to the point though where we all know each other,
We do.
It really is to the point where, I mean, even especially I would say COVID actually pushed it a lot with the international, with the BlizzCon Online and the Ultimate Cosplay Championship. We all met through those kinds of channels too. Whereas it used to be, oh, if I show up at this con physically, then I'll get to know you. But now that there were a lot of competitions that were international, that were online, and it kind of got bigger. Now you kind of know a lot of people in a lot of countries, like R31 Studios here. By the way, I'll probably introduce you.
You probably should.
Why don't you give us a little spiel about like your craft and where your kind of like angle is and what you try to bring to the table to cosplay in general?
Well, I'm Steve. I'm R31 Studios. So I guess my specifics are kind of where I kind of hone in on is
you're a duplicate of John Krasinski.
Like I get that so much. It is just like before him when I was younger, it was Justin Long, and now it's kind of like more like John Krasinski. But like especially recently, actually, hold up. Kind of like I've really enjoyed kind of and I always have like pushing the limits of what you can do with foam and with detailing and just kind of going with the flow. There are a lot of people who love to recreate, and I kind of love doing that, but I actually found a lot more enjoyment in the challenge of going with the flow, seeing kind of where inspiration takes me. And the more recent builds that I've done have been just that. Like I've gone in there with no preconceived ideas, and it's just almost let the build evolve itself and let the build develop into what it wants to become effectively. And so kind of that's the crafting side of what I like to do, is kind of just push what you can do, push the limits, and kind of just like, keep adding on, and just kind of just until it feels right. But just kind of challenging the creative side of things and actually enjoying the process, because you can look at the final piece as being kind of the end goal. But there's a quote from Firefly that I love, which was, when Katie's kind of saying, well, how come you don't care where the ship is going? And, Shepard's response to that one is like, well, because the journey is the worthier part. It's, for me, the whole creative process is as important, if not more important, than the final piece, because that's where us as creatives really put our heart and soul into it. Like walking on the con floor, doing the competitions is great, and you get a lot of validation for your hard work, and it's awesome kind of being recognized and being able to talk about your work. But where you put your real blood, sweat, in tears into your work, some of that is very literal, then that's kind of where your real heart is and your passion. And so that's just something that I really enjoy doing. And then the other side of that is recently, or kind of like the last couple of years, is really just trying to support and show other people, I guess, give them the support, give them some of that inspiration, and kind of help others through that process. And because a lot of it is a mental game, as creatives, a lot of us are especially vulnerable to either the darker thoughts, or we're very much likely to be more neurodiverse, or kind of creatives get a lot more emotive in their work. And so we can feel a lot of things about it. And so I think it's really important to kind of unwrap that and unwrap how we think about our work and the mental processes, as well as the actual physical making of it.
Awesome. Have you you've competed, so you won, let me see if I remember, you won 3rd place in armor in the Ultimate Online Cosplay competition, right? 3rd place armor, 2nd place armor?
No, I got special, I think I got Judge's Choice from Bev. So I didn't actually I placed, I think came in top 10, I reckon, on the ultimate one, and then managed to get the glorious helm from Beverly.
Ever done crown for New Zealand or anything like that? Have you ever done anything?
I've competed. My very first competition was at London NCM, which was stretching memory back now.
That's gonna be your first one.
That was like my first ever. That was my first ever build. Was my first ever competition, and I came in 2nd. I think I was like first runner up to 2nd place with that one, and that was with my cardboard Dovahkiin build. So that one was, again, very much kind of taking the original design and then from the game, and then kind of adding my own kind of twist to it.
And it was cardboard?
And that was all out of cardboard. I had no idea.
I feel like I need to see a picture of that.
Yeah.
I have. Hold up. I'm gonna, if I can see it.
You're gonna need to find a picture, because it sounds ridiculous.
It's a dog.
This is a dog. This is not made out of cardboard. This is the helm that I made. It's kind of, I've still got this as a souvenir.
I mean, it doesn't look like cardboard.
But this is all cardboard. And kind of, you can just about see kind of how it was done on the inside.
Yeah.
But this basically spurred everything on for me. So like the entire thing was cardboard, PVA, hot glue. Then realizing that unsealed cardboard does not do very well on a hot summer's day.
Oh, really?
So then it was a case of then sealing that with PVA on the inside for like another the other event. And after that is kind of, then I found the wonders that is foam.
I would say, somebody in the judges room had to be like, if he could do that with cardboard, imagine what he could do with PVA foam.
Yeah, and he's standing over here like, wait, what's foam?
Well, like the sword, which is this. Like I made this, and this is using that foam poster board.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought I made that, and it was all kind of rigid, and it worked really well. I mean, doing the bevels, and that was an absolute pain. But I was kind of presenting it to the judges, and they were like, "Oh, this is really light," and I was kind of, "Yeah, I found this foam board. I thought it was great. I thought," and the judges, they were kind of saying, "Yeah, no, this has been used in cosplay like a few years ago, but people stopped using it now because we now use foam, and it's a lot easier to do it."
So you're like, foam what?
I was like, what? And then kind of, suddenly found foam.
That's awesome. That's great. I love that. I love those stories. I love when people use weird stuff. Fred Wolf's another one. I love it. This entire thing is made of hot glue and fabric, and you're like, what? Like, I love when people like take crazy like materials and turn it into something great.
And then it's the recycling aspect of that as well. It's what you can then use that's unconventional, or that you can use for attachments, like bottle caps, and the tops of bottle caps and the screw threads are great for attaching things, and all these other little things that we can find that kind of suddenly work on a build that kind of, once you've painted them up, you'd never know, but they kind of make such a difference to the overall build, and then you're actually upcycling as well. So it's kind of saving.
Something that we talked about earlier was like what our communities are like cosplay communities as far as like competitions go. I've heard that in like Europe and in Australia, it's not necessarily toxic, but it's very competitive.
Highly competitive.
Very competitive. Like we're competitive here, but we're competitive in a nice way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've heard that it's a little different there. Also, the like staying up late, talking and having fun thing is not really a thing in Australia, I've heard.
I can't speak too much to what it's like over in Australia. I mean, that's like a 4-hour flight away, but it's like New Zealand, the community is very small. And you still get your cliques, you still get your kind of your differences and where people are kind of, you know, like I think within any community, you gel over your interests. And so there's a very high focus on fabric work and anime and that sort of thing here. A lot more than that I saw and kind of experienced back in the UK. There's less focus on big armor builds. Which is interesting. So it's quite refreshing because it's kind of quite easy to sit there and you think you got someone walking on stage in a huge Space Marine outfit, and it's easy to be crazy impressed because it's big, it's big, it's glorious, it's impressive. And then you've got someone who rocks up with a real intricate, I don't know, historical gown, for example. And from initially looking at them, you can think, oh well, that was clearly the armor is going to be a much more complex build, but actually, the more you think about it, you go into textiles, it's like to try and do all of that intricate stitching is so much more impressive and hard work, but like in a less obvious way. So competitions out here, at the moment, it's expanding, but we did only have kind of one big con or a couple of cons that you would do competitions with. Then we've had a few more smaller cons kind of popping up, which is brilliant because it kind of just expands the pool really and kind of gives people different opportunities to compete. I'm not able to compete out here just because the rule they've got a almost like a no professionals rule on kind of people being able to compete, and I think just because of affiliations that I've got, this kind of
considered a professional,
like Dremel and Polyprops and that, it kind of pushes me into that professional, even though I don't kind of make money off it. And to be honest, I get that as well because I don't. My viewpoint is I really want people who are interested in the hobby to want to be able to step forward and step into the game and not feel, without trying to big myself up, not feel intimidated because there's a bigger name than them kind of competing. And I think it can be really easy for people stepping into the hobby to think, oh, so-and-so's competing, I've got no chance, therefore I'm not even going to bother.
That's really too bad. That's too bad.
For what? For people stepping out? Or
people stepping up. Like, I feel like here we're like a lot of Americans are like, I just want to compete maybe. And then us people, I'm not saying I'm at the top or anything, but like people have competed a lot will be able to be like, you should compete. Just compete. You should do it. Do it. Please do it. We want new blood. We want you to compete. So then they do, and then maybe they'll have a good time, and then it just kind of and they do more, and then they get better, and it's just I don't know.
We also stick in our lane, right? Like I'm going to compete at Dragon Con or BlizzCon or C2E2. I'm not going to go down to the Tri-Valley Heart Sacred Comic-Con of the little tiny one and go and show up in my big build and go, you are all going down. That $50 gift card is mine,
People do that. Like I've heard stories of people doing that and rocking up to small conventions and cons, and like you hear about that, and they'll just wear the same thing. And I mean, not necessarily in New Zealand, but and I just say that think like, what's your reason for doing it? Like why are you if you're doing it purely just to beat other people and purely to win and purely to get money, like that's different. Like you got to do it for the hobby and the enjoyment and the experience of it as well.
Right.
Everybody deserves that
Gotta
moment.
be something deeper.
Yeah, like some sort of like I just need to be the. But you want everybody deserves that moment in the spotlight, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we've had people here in the States that they don't do it as much anymore, but like we'll take one costume to like 60, 70 competitions per year and just win all of them. And they get blacklisted for sure, but It has
think-
happened. It's not as much now, but it has definitely happened. They win all of them, they get all of the money, and they just bounce.
And they
Yeah.
do it small level. Like it's like the
They do
mid-tier.
small level mostly, yeah.
I think, but like where this difference comes is like US is a very different ball game compared to literally any other like country,
Yeah.
because you have so many competitions, so many events in every city. Like you have literally a convention almost every weekend the whole year. All of them, all of them had like good prizes or something like that. Like that's not the case in most of the like. I don't know about like. Of course, I don't know. I cannot talk about New Zealand or Australia, but even in Australia, I know that they don't have a lot of competitions. I know there are like only 3 or 4 major competitions that happen throughout the year. In India, we only have like 3 conventions that are big, and then all the other conventions have like uh, sub €200 prizes, $200 prizes. So most of our conventions are like really really small, and so that's where, and like how I was talking before, right? So like I'm probably like the complete. You guys are making me look bad, so I'm just saying this. Because I was the guy who would compete in all the, not with the same cosplay. Like I would say that I would not compete in the same cosplay, but because like I was mentioning before, like we had no opportunities as such. Like because like R31 said that he has become like a professional cosplayer. There was no such thing as a professional cosplayer back then.
Yeah.
So I think like the communities in the West and communities in the developing country is like very different, and I still am of the opinion that I'll be like of a different opinion here. I think there's nothing wrong with competing with same competition in 2 contests as long as it's not in the rule. I think I think it's I would say it's on the it's a responsibility of the cosplay competition, the organizing community, that they should specify that a competition that has won before should not compete. Like because a lot of competitions, like because nowadays we have a lot of esports event that happen in India, and they approach me sometimes and ask me to help make them guidelines. And I think that's the first guideline. I tell them that if you have in India it's very hard to say like a big competition win or whatever, but I do mention like if you have won a competition which had prize pool over, in for India like a $300 prize pool is decent enough. So I would say like if you won in any competition which had prize money over this amount, then you're not allowed to take part in the competition.
Yeah,
So-
what I was talking about is like there would be like one guy who would go
Oh,
to
yeah,
like
yeah.
60
They always
to
like,
70 with like one costume for all of them.
and they hide. They basically hide, which is bad. Like they should not hide that they have won the cosplay competition or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's multiple, like, or even years, like they've had the same costume. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They would like even like we've had people over here who would like, you know what, if it's said that you cannot use an old costume, they'll change the weapon and they would be like, oh, I've made like completely changed the costume. They'll repaint the armor and they would be like, oh, it's this version, and yeah, it's a new skin kind of a thing. So that happens, but I think I think the competitions that the organizers should specify in their rules if like you can compete with a previous cosplayer or not, and if they don't have an issue with it, then I don't see any wrong, like anything wrong, because like I said, I think everyone gets a fair chance. Like if someone has actually competed with the costume, like I always prefer, if I've seen the guy who's competing against me, I know how to defeat them because I can see like what all elements I need to add. I'll choose a character which is better than their character or whatever. So I don't think it's wrong as long as though like you don't hide it, you don't try to cheat with it. That's fine, because like, and I'm talking from a very perspective of a country where we don't have many conventions, and we don't have most of the people. Like I feel that I'm one of the very very few blessed people in India who can actually earn decent amount from cosplay. But even now, like the people who have been cosplaying with me over the years, like who have started along with me, even they are still not able to afford to make like more than one builds a year. So I understand if they take one costume to multiple events, but like don't win the main prize, but like win second, third a lot of times. So yeah.
I mean, if you only make one, you can only make one. But the problem,
it is what it is.
The ultimate thing is, like, where's your heart? Are you in it for the right reasons? If you're in it for the right reasons, you're going to make the right decisions. If you're in it the wrong reasons, you're going to make the wrong decisions. You know what I mean? I used to only be able to make one build a year, and I have had instances where I would like go up, like I would win like a lower one, and then I would go to like Dragon Con with it. You know, I don't do that anymore. I've kind of learned that lesson. That's not a good thing to do, but I didn't know back then.
What, compete at Dragon Con and how that's a terrible idea?
Why? You have to tell me there's more to this, because like that came up one time and you're like, I would never do that. I was like, oh,
I will never compete at Dragon Con again unless they change literally everything about the competition.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you about it. It's not a big deal, but their competition is, though their competition could be absolutely amazing, it's just not. It's just not. Yeah.
What's the too long didn't read reason?
The whole reason is it's the old guard of costuming versus cosplay.
Okay.
It's the old guard. It's like the people who were into costuming like in the 90s, 80s, like older generation.
Movie.
Yeah, they're not
people, like they're in the film industry.
Yeah.
So then, like,
so me or Samir comes with something awesome, or any of us, like they're gonna be like, yeah, but it's not like what we're looking for. And it's like, that's not fair, because what they're actually judging is a cosplay competition, but they're not looking at it like it's a cosplay competition. And me and Casey we competed one year together, and I was like looking at, you see who's there. You're like, that person's going to get something. That person's going to get something. That person, if I'm lucky, I'll get a judge's award, maybe. Right. You look at that, you're like, you get a feel. And
so they're gatekeeping the competition.
What?
They're gatekeeping the competition, and they're basically like making their friends and a thing like that. There's a mafia.
Yeah, they're holding back the competition from being good, in my opinion.
The cosplay mafia. I love it.
That's really sad.
It is sad, especially because the Dragon Con costume competition could be epic, in my opinion. Like, if they gave an award this big that had a Dragon Con emblem on it, people would fight for it, even though there's no money.
You get
like WCS, people fight for WCS. There is no money.
I can think of experience. You get $50 in Dragon coins, and supposed to be used anywhere in Dragon Con, but nobody knows what they are, so you can't ever use them.
But like, I think the top prize for the Dragon Con Friday night costume contest is you get a reservation for a room at Dragon Con. They don't pay for the reservation.
Oh, you just get the reservation.
You just get the reservation.
Oh my god, that's so stupid.
You get a really nice sewing machine now. There's a couple prizes.
Good. I'm glad for that, but
yeah, and I think me when I was leaving the competition, I think I got like best use of materials or something like that.
Awesome.
I don't know.
What year did you do?
It was for Plaguebringer. So I got best journeyman with Maleficent, and then for Plaguebringer back there, I got best use of materials. And you stopped me, and I was like, "Hey!" And you're like, "Hi!" And I'm like, "Why didn't you compete?" And you're like, "I would never compete here." I was like, "Okay." Like, there's a story there.
Well, it's because me and Casey competed one year. We didn't win anything, which is fine. But even the people that we like were dead ringers for winners. We were like, they didn't get anything. And then the year after that, Amanda competed. She didn't get shit. Her costume was amazing. It was Anastasia. She ended up winning Best in Show at C2E2, by the way.
Wait,
she got nothing at
Dragon Con. Was there in Anastasia and didn't get anything?
She did not get one thing.
Far out.
Yeah. It was, trust me, it's an amazing costume. But that's not the point, that she didn't get anything. And I was just kind of pissed about it. And we decided as a group, we were never going to compete there again unless they changed everything about it. So, So I would love to compete there again, but I'd have to have a reason.
I mean, we're all talking about competing here in competition. Like, is like, have you ever competed?
Me?
Tris. No.
Just
Tris.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the only time I have competed was in person was the 2020 Crown Championship as Swamp Thing.
You're
crazy. It was great. That was my first competition. It was really good. Since then, I've been judging. I did a couple of competitions, but that's not really my thing anymore. I'm more so the judging, get the inspiration to people, rather
Yep.
teach and have panels and do all that other stuff.
What
I
panels
just
do you do normally?
anything around effects and foam, as well as I usually do a lot of stuff for over 30 cosplays as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
Real fun time, but mine is more specific to the genre of horror and monsters, or just like flat out foam fabrication. But
When you over
kind
40,
of like I was saying, 6 years. 6 years.
I like how you had to
But
check that as well.
You're like,
wait. What month is it? Okay. No, but one of the things I was telling, before y'all two came in is just like I would much rather be that person in the community to open it up for other people that like creepy and large things, and just because I don't want anybody to feel left out, because at the time when I was competing, I felt like I was overlooked a lot just because I wasn't trying to fit the mold. So it's just one of those things where it's like, just really the best use of my time, because I got way more monsters to make. So I'm like, all right, I know what I'll do. So it's a different lane for me. That's why I've been just sitting here quiet in my dark little cave. I'll let y'all have fun. I'm just gonna sit here and just clap for everybody.
and create.
Since I was going to be here, it was going to be all about competitions. So,
No, but, like
in your corner, monsters and horror and nightmares, right? So you mentioned though motivation. Yeah. So we have like 10 more minutes, I think, and then probably need to kind of sign off with last thoughts. But let's talk about motivation, since Tristan brought it up. How do you stay motivated when you're building a giant monster nightmare? Like, what are things that motivate you when you're in a big build in order to get through it, or just to keep
going? The motivation behind it is usually the meaning and the purpose of that creature. I like to reverse engineer. Like, once I have it, I always know exactly what the motives are, and especially if it's something that's going to be used like on screen. That it's a totally different game, because you want a whole lot of things to translate in just a short amount of time. Or if it's on display, you want a lot of those things to translate no matter what point and angle that you do see it, right? So one of the most motivating things is just sticking to the deadline and being true to myself. I'm a taskmaster and a project manager at the same time, so it makes it easy for me to be able to like A, B, C, D, E, and go down that line. But the motivation really comes from being able to tell that story about that character. That's the biggest thing, because at the end of the day, yes, they're creatures, monsters, but I want to be able to breathe some humanity into it, and kind of put what I'm going through in that type of character as well. So it's a lot.
Do you think about when people like are going to see your stuff? Is that a motivating factor for you? Like the look on people's faces when they see like something come to life that
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you see that, because when I think of monsters, I think of monsters as the equalizer of them all, right? You can have your heroes, you can have your villains, you can have the people in between. But when the Kraken comes out, or when Rexy breaks out of that fence, everybody's asshole clenches up at the same time. And, oh shit, you're not the badass you thought you were. The monster is here. So that's why I think of every time I'm making it, like thinking of the different positions, the different proportions. What am I gonna paint this color is for depth, or how am I gonna do the drool or things of that nature? Because Brittany was there; she could tell you better than anybody. There was a lot of holy shit, but I knew at the same time that I was doing it for a certain crowd, and the little kids, I would say I won over about like 50% of the little kids. The little kids, they was like putting their feet out of strollers and everything. But you know, at the end of the day, if I'm not making people feel uncomfortable, I'm not doing my job.
Right.
That's awesome.
Seriously, I'm not here to wow you. You know, yes, wow you, right? Because monsters are majestic. But if I'm not bringing no discomfort and nightmares, I didn't do my job.
Steve, how do you stay motivated? This is your area. When I think of motivation, I always go to your page and I'm like, no, I don't.
Like,
no, I don't.
Don't take that away from me.
I do. You do. You post a lot of good truths there.
I think
give a clap.
It's like I think for me the biggest thing is breaking it right back. I mean, it's similar to what Trish said. It's breaking it back down to what's your why, like what's behind it, and it's kind of knowing that it's having that self-awareness for me as well. It's like, I don't know about you guys, when I'm in the middle of a build, like, I know that during the painting process or during the blocking out stages is during those stages, I will go through a period of, I hate this. What am I doing? This is terrible. I'm wasting my time. And I know that when that feeling hits, I'm approximately 2/3 of the way through. Like, and so like, I know that when that feeling hits, like, okay, so that's happening. I now know why that's happening. I now know that I just need to trust my process. And that's kind of when discipline kicks in, because like motivation is what gets you started. Discipline is what gets you through. And so it's like, that's when I've got to be a bit more disciplined and think, right, I need to trust what I originally planned. I'll follow that through. And I will see the outside of it. And then I'll enjoy the project. And then invariably in 6 months, I'll look back at it and go, I hate it. Why did I do that detail? Why did I do that bit wrong? I should have, like, as we all do as creators, because we're always trying to get better. But I think, for me, the motivation is sticking true to kind of the why of what I'm trying to create and like enjoying that process. And I think the other thing that I find really helps is, especially in bigger builds and where you're kind of, or it can feel repetitive, is I'll stop and just make something completely else random. Like just small, almost like 1 build or 1 week build or whatever, but like just something small that can be related to it or it can be something completely different. But because it just breaks that cycle, it kind of almost gives you a little bit of that reset that you can then get some of that energy back in to carry on. And to
kill the monotony.
I get that.
So like that I found has been amazing. I've realized I've probably been on a hiatus of probably a good few months now of actually not making anything, which just through various life things. And it's like the hardest thing I find is when you've been off a while is getting back into a build again. It's like if you've not been creating for a while, that's the other big thing, is like getting over that hurdle of trying to get back in, and just making something small again can really help with that. So I think that's the biggest thing that I find, just kind of helps motivate me or keep me motivated. And then when you're actually doing the building process, is I kind of call it sensory flooding. It's whatever genre I'm making from, I like to look at like images or reference material or videos, music, all of that from that genre. And so if I'm making, I kind of have that music from that genre going on in the background. So if it's cyberpunk, it's kind of cyberpunky 80s synthwave sort of going off in the background. If it's kind of much more fantasy, then it's going to be kind of more of that fantasy, that orchestral, that kind of big epic sort of music that goes on, because it's not just the sense of what you're making, but kind of everything feeds into that creative path and that creative process. So by looking and flooding your sense with all this reference material, you're effectively filling up your reservoir that you can then use to kind of pour into your build. And I find that can really help to kind of keep that creative urge high and kind of overflowing, because it's from that overflow that I really kind of find my enjoyment in the creativity, because that's when it's like you've got something in you that you need to pour out into what you're making.
Yeah. Yeah, and it reminds you too of what drew you to that in the first place, right?
Absolutely.
Like your love for blank, you're watching the show, you're reminding yourself, because again, this is all fandom, one way or the other. Even if you're building something that you're not necessarily familiar with, it's a love for the aesthetic, or it's a love for the actual craft. So it's all based in fandom. Samir, what about you? How do you stay motivated? Go.
I mean, You've already heard from the Bob Ross of cosplay all the points, you know. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Like whenever I think of like his voice rings in my ears like that. That's how I stay motivated. Like whenever I think like, oh, what should I do? And I'm like, oh, what would R31 do? You know? I'm not really. My struggle is I think starting a new project. Once I've started a project, I don't find any problem finishing it. Like I never it has rarely happened that I would start a project and not finish it. uh, I don't start many projects. I plan a lot of projects. Like I plan a lot of projects. I make templates, but I don't start. What happens with me is like I have this fear of disappointing. You know, like because like I think and this pressure I've been much better about it now. But you know, like when you start getting praise, like this, I think it's like the social media effect. Like when you start getting praise for whatever you do, now you kind of expect that praise later on, and then you're like, oh, whatever I make should be better than my previous build. And then you know, like you get this like you put yourself in that situation where you think, oh no, what if I make something and people don't respond to it? And then it happens sometime, you know, like you put so much heart into a prop or whatever, and then you post online and then it doesn't get the response that you hoped for, and then you think that maybe you're not good enough and that kind of things, you know. So that is something which I was struggling a bit, I think, starting of COVID, because before COVID, no one knew me, no one gave a shit. I think Brittany knew me, but like that's pretty much it. Like I don't think so. Rest of you knew me much before I think 2019. So I think my Xenos cosplay like got me noticed from a lot of people. But like so before I had never had that problem, because I had been only making like one cosplay a year, and that was also like one or two cosplay a year, and most of the time it was competition. So I was always like taking my time building things and whatnot. And then when I started getting noticing, and I was not getting noticed by like just normal people, but like the people I had considered my idol, you know, like a lot of people. Like when Kamui followed me, I was like, oh my god, like she's following me now. Now every post that I make should make some sense. I don't want her to see, you know. So I used to post so much on my profile. I used to post like I would do street photography. I would post food pics. I would post. I don't know. I used to post so much random shit on my Instagram. But like when people I really admired or look up to, when they started following me, I was like, oh no, I need to make good. And then what did was like I literally actually stopped crafting as often, because like whenever I would start something, I was like, no, I'm not prepared enough, or like I think I won't be able to pull that off. And that kind of dampened me for a while. Uh, but I think I've overcome that now. I think I've become comfortable with what my position is. And like of course, like I think so many people do so much positive reinforcement to me. Oh, you're nice, so such nice guys, or whatever. So it basically I have accepted it now. Like I will do good work. It doesn't matter if it doesn't come out really well like at the first time. I can always keep on working, and I really appreciate that about I think at R31 a lot, that you know he puts so much content line, and you see so many steps happening, and then you can even see in that, like, okay, sometimes he designs something and then he wants to change it and he changes it and all, and we are part of the whole process, and it makes so organic, you know. And I think I have noticed this in a lot in other people also, that like Ludus cosplay is like another person who I really really look up to. Like he's such a wonderful guy, and
Yeah,
like
he really is.
yeah, like everything he does, like he basically breaks it down. It's not about what he's making, it's about how he is doing it. And you can tell that how much fun he has while working. And I think like looking at like there's so many people I look up to, of course, but it has made me feel more comfortable with myself and like how I craft, because I think I enjoy like the little things in crafting. For me also, it's not about like the finished product, but like I really enjoy figuring out how to get there. Even because like I always, even when I'm making foam cosplays, I don't enjoy making unless it's like extremely convoluted, there's like some random shit happening in the foam structure, I don't really enjoy making it. So because it's really fun for me figuring out how to make all those complex angles and whatnot. So yeah, like I think I don't have a problem with I completely jumped to a different conversation here, but like I don't have a problem with motivation once I've started a build, because I am always motivated to finish it. But my problem happens when I'm starting something new, because I put too much expectations on me, and I don't want to disappoint anyone. So yeah, I always I'm always afraid of fucking up. But yeah.
Yeah.
Pressure could also build diamonds.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Pressure could also build diamonds.
Right?
True.
Thank
That's
you.
true.
Some of the stuff I make is great. Some of the stuff I make is shit. Some of the stuff is fine.
Some of the stuff I make is from Amazon.
Right. But for me, I've never put on a final costume that I've made and not looked in the mirror and went, ha ha ha, let's go. Like, it might not be everything I wanted it to be. It might not have had the right proportions. Maybe it doesn't move the way that I wanted to. Maybe the light doesn't work. Maybe I don't have any way to go to the bathroom because I didn't really build it to go to the bathroom. But I'm walking down the elevator to the elevator. I'm getting off the elevator, and there is a normie going, what the hell is that? And that is all I need. I love bringing something to life and just being something else. So I think I kind of keep I just tell myself it might not be everything you want it to be, no matter what, though. But the day you put it on, you're gonna be amazing. You're gonna be so happy.
Right.
And I've never really felt like crap in a costume.
Good.
So even the ones I do buy from Amazon or the inflatables.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, when you're in an inflatable Kirby that you got from a woman in China, you feel amazing.
Oh, I bet. That's your whole personality now, right?
What did you say to me? You're like, are you going to stop buying these? I'm like, I can stop at any time.
Never.
All right, Brittany, how do you stay motivated?
Oh, I agree with a lot of what they said. I do like taking breaks for other things. Like, I don't know if anybody's watched any of my absolute nonsense, but sometimes I'm working on a costume and then I'll just have a post that's like SpongeBob art.
Yes, and JoJo art.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of shoe stuff lately, which is like completely unrelated to cosplay, but like.
But we absolutely love it.
I mean, I hope.
Let's do it.
I feel bad that like I have to like I'm posting that stuff, but like. I mean, it's a nice break.
Number one.
It's actually one of my favorite things, that I love following cosplays. I don't know if people have noticed, but I follow a shit ton of cosplayers. Okay. So, but the thing is, like, it really, really makes me happy when I see a cosplayer who's doing different things. Even more than enjoying the cosplay content, like I said, because I myself consider myself to be more of a crafter, so like when anyone does anything out of cosplay, like one of favorite person of mine is like Nerd Forge. Like I absolutely love looking at her stuff. Like she makes such beautiful like some bookshelf thingy or make a cover or whatever. So she does like so many random projects, and I absolutely love all of them. So I actually enjoy your. I'm really enjoying your like the shoe journey that you're going through right now, and like all your spend. Like if I was to tell like my favorite thing you ever created, it's that like SpongeBob like big eye face. It's like so cool. That's my favorite thing that you have ever done. So I always appreciate those things.
Oh, okay. I really do get a lot of I get a lot out of taking breaks to do things like that. I do have another costume in the works eventually. I have like a bunch of commissions for shoes because the shoe thing kind of just went crazy. So like I just got a bunch of commissions and I'm just like I got one guy who literally wanted 17 pairs of shoes and I was like, for who?
Man, those
So
JoJo
I'm gonna get that mostly done, and then I'm gonna work on a costume for Dragon Con, which I brought up at the beginning of the stream, but not everybody heard. I'm making myself as a Borderlands character that is like a paint,
Nice.
like myself as a paint wizard.
Oh,
So-
nice. Yes.
So I'm gonna be a wizard, but like Borderlands. It's gonna be crazy.
That sounds
but
awesome.
Cool.
it's
That
like an
sounds
original style design. It's gonna be great. So I'm really excited about that. But I need every bit of 2 months to make it happen. So we'll see how that goes. That's my one build for the year. So we'll see how it goes. But staying motivated. Competitions keep me motivated, honestly. Like I know the competitions keep coming up, but competitions are the only reason I get costumes done, if I'm being honest. I do actually want to get like this build done for Dragon Con. Like that's my goal for the year. I'm sure I'll find a competition for it, but typically if I'm getting a costume finished, it is for a competition and nothing else will motivate me further. If I'm like, oh, Colossal Con's coming, I'll try and have it done. That doesn't do anything for me. But if I know there's a competition, I know that basically there's like a teacher ready to grade me on my work. Otherwise, I'm not getting it finished.
Yeah, I think
you look like Elsa. So you got that going for you. She keeps saying that you look like she thinks she looks like Elsa.
Do I look more like Elsa now?
Yeah, a little bit. I can see it. So I think we should probably like say our like goodbye last thing kind of thing, and then maybe we'll do this again because I love every single one.
Steve has just come now. Steve has just come now.
No, but
I feel like we need like another hour. Like
I probably could, but I really do actually have to eat food. So I'm so sorry.
That's right. We can let her go and we'll just stick around.
Exactly. If you leave,
I don't know if that would work, but we could try that.
It probably won't.
It's 3 a.m. here. I'm also like super sleepy.
We'll just do this again. That's all.
No, 100%.
That would be fine, but we need 3 hours next time.
Okay, I'll block out 3 hours next time. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. Like, each one of you is like an idol to me. So just the fact that you to come out here and talk to me is awesome. Evelyn, what? I'm coming. Hold on.
Does Evelyn have a question she wants to ask us?
But thank you guys so much. So I don't know if you guys want to like promote your websites, anything you have going on, or to look up, to look out for. If you guys just want to go around and kind of promote yourselves real quick, that'd be awesome. Or not.
You go.
Go that way. So Brittany, then Tris, then Samir, and then us.
Okay. I'm Brittany Ganoza of Ganoza Costuming on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I make cool things. Come see me if you want to.
Hold on. Ginoza. So it's not soft G.
It is Ginoza, but that's okay. Literally
I've
every
been
person
saying it
is
wrong all this
it's
time.
okay.
I've always been calling it Ginoza.
That's okay. That's literally
because she's a djinn. Because she's a djinn. She makes wishes come true.
I'm sorry, but it's a GIF, not a GIF. All right. All right, get it right.
Yeah, I was saying Jud too, so I'm.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I promise.
It's your turn, Rex. Chris.
Oh, okay. You can follow me on all social platforms at Tris Rex. One of the things to keep a lookout for is I've been doing some test shooting on the Alien Resurgence fan film of mine, just to kind of introduce you all into some of the Marine characters before we get into the third and final Xenomorph. And then we got a special character after that. But you're also going to see some of the creature suit work I've been doing for this film called John Cooley's Convergence. It's an original character that I'm really able to put my heart into. I've been working on it for some time, and I can't wait to unleash it on y'all. So got a lot of cool stuff coming.
Yay!
So I'm Samir Tikka Masala, of course, as my name says. I'm a cosplayer from India, and I go by different name in every social platform. So I'm really stupid like that. On Twitter, I'm Bundela Samir. On Facebook, I'm Samir Bundela, and on Instagram, Samir Tikka Masala. So I think like my latest pride is basically my Inarius cosplay that I'm working on right now. It's still not finished, but I'm really happy to say that I will be working with Blizzard on that and gonna do an event in Paris next month, which I'm really looking forward to. So that's the big thing in Horizon for me, and I'm really excited for that. And also, once that event is done, like I said, I'll probably jump to my next build instantly, and that I'm really excited to see what it will be. Yeah, a very random thing that I said, but anyways, hey, over to you, Steve.
No, I'm Steve from R31 Studios. So yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at R31 Studios. And I've also got a website where I've kind of got a lot of free patterns, downloads available for people to use for like base builds for starting up your projects. My social media or Instagram recently has been a little bit dead just because of a lot of stuff happening in life, but I'll be jumping back on pretty quick. Sad to say, it's not gonna be right now. I really wanted to start Optimus Prime up again, but just with the space that I've got, I'm going to be building something different, but it's going to be a mashup, and I'm just trying to work out what that mashup is going to be. So it's going to like to be lots more inspiration, motivational stuff happening, as well as builds and tips and tricks and all that other jazz with fine, and hopefully maybe some painting. Who knows?
Yeah, you never get to the painting. I'm Avera Cosplay. I'm going to be making Camoe's Diablo Brigida.
Oh, hell yes. Hell
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, that picture.
That is going to be hell in a handbasket.
I was so nervous about it. I actually messaged Casey and I was like, should I even bother doing this? Is already done. Like,
it's going to be something else.
Yeah, it's the only one I loved. So I was like, I got you. And I want to make
it is really amazing. I will say the design is absolutely stunning. It's going to be something else.
It's either going to be it's going to be great or it's just not. But either way, I get to make a lot of teeth, and I'm excited. So
right.
So it'll be my first BlizzCon. So
yeah, I'm trying to make my way over to BlizzCon because Samir's going to try and be there, and I want to be there with Samir.
Yes, let's all go to BlizzCon.
We're going to try.
Yes, come on, Steve. Make something from Blizzard and come to BlizzCon.
Oh, mate, I would love to.
Right?
Yes, do it.
No, anyway, again, thank you guys all so much. We'll do this again. I worship each and every one of you, and I stalk your pages. I know everything about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The stalking is mutual. The stalking is mutual.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh. Wow. Bye, guys.
See you later.
Bye.